There are stories that live in the dark, whispered in hushed tones and passed down like a disease. They cling to objects, waiting for a curious hand to awaken them. This is the story of a film that was never meant to be seen. A celluloid curse that imprints itself not on the screen, but on the soul of the one who watches. It begins, as many such tales do, with a discovery. Alex, an archivist with a passion for forgotten media, was exploring the dust-choked basement of a derelict cinema, a place where memories went to die. Tucked away in a corroded metal box, he found it. A single, unmarked film canister. Its only identifier was a faded, handwritten label that sent a shiver down his spine. 3 simple words, a challenge and a warning. Watch alone. The scent of decay and something vaguely chemical clung to the canister. A final, unspoken caution that Alex, in his excitement, chose to ignore. Back in the sterile quiet of his studio, the hum of the vintage projector was the only sound. Alex threaded the brittle film, his fingers tingling with anticipation. The opening frames flickered to life, revealing a grainy, static image of a desolate room. A single ornate chair sat in the center, facing away from the camera. There was no sound, no movement, just the relentless, buzzing silence of the empty space. An unsettling feeling began to creep over him. A sense of being watched not by an audience, but by the film itself. The air in his studio grew heavy and cold, and the mundane objects around him, his desk, his lamps, his books, seemed to recede into the shadows, leaving only him and the glowing screen. The stillness was profound, yet it felt charged with a terrible, waiting energy. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Alex found himself unable to look away, mesmerized by the sheer emptiness on screen. Then a flicker. He blinked, unsure if he had imagined it. A shadow, long and thin, seemed to stretch and recoil in the corner of the filmed room, independent of any light source. His heart began to pound a frantic rhythm against his ribs. He leaned closer, his breath fogging slightly in the chilled air. The chair, he was certain now, was no longer in its original position. It had shifted, angling slightly, as if its unseen occupant was turning to get a better look at him. The very fabric of the film's reality was fraying at the edges, becoming unstable, alive. It was no longer a recording of a place. It was a place, and he was an unwelcome visitor. Suddenly, the image convulsed. The static intensified, and a dark, featureless figure began to coalesce in the chair. It had no face, no discernible form, just a void in the shape of a man. The sight was a punch to the gut, stealing the air from Alex's lungs. Then, with an unnaturally fluid motion, the figure turned its head, a blank space where a face should be, and stared directly out of the screen, directly at Alex. A silent scream was trapped in his throat. In that same instant, the projector bulb popped with a sharp crack, plunging the studio into absolute darkness. The whirring of the film ceased, replaced by a deafening silence. A shape detached itself from the deepest shadows in the corner of his own room. A tall, slender silhouette, identical to the one he had just seen on the screen. It was here. This is not where the story ends. Curses, you see, are not so easily contained. The film canister, now polished and deceptively innocent, sits on a dusty shelf in a forgotten antique shop. Its cryptic label, "Watch Alone," has been scrubbed away, but the warning remains embedded in its very essence. It waits patiently for the next curious soul, the next person to feel the pull of the unknown, to thread the film and press play. Because some stories don't want to be told, they want to be experienced. And for those who dare to watch, the final reel is not on the screen, but in the terrifying closing moments of their own lives.